All right. Hi, guys. So welcome this video. Today we'll be discussing supply chain management. All right. So let me just share my screen. So previously we talked about process design and capacity planning and bottleneck analysis. So now we will be talking about supply chain management. So first, let's define what a supply chain is. So let me just read it to you. So a supply chain refers to a sequence of organizations that are involved in the production, manufacturing, and delivery of products and services. This may begin with the supplier of raw materials and commodities such as sugar, iron ore, and timber, and extends all the way to consumer, you. So basically, the supply chain has three main parts. So that's inbound logistics or supply, uh, production or the operations or manufacturing, and delivery or outbound logistics. So inbound logistics or the supply uh, refers to the raw materials that you will be needing as inputs for your output or for your final product. Next is your operations, your production. This is all about the process that turns your raw materials into your final outputs. Yeah. And then you have your outbound logistics or delivery. So this is all about getting your products from the factory floor to where the customers will actually be buying them and accessing them. All right. So that's the supply chain. So here we have a diagram of the value chain. So basically this maps out all the different activities that a company does that provide value and that add value to that specific product. So here we have the primary activities, um, these ones at the bottom. So you have your inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, and service. So supply chain refers mainly to these three in the circle. So inbound logistics, operations, and outbound logistics. Okay, so yeah, that's basically it. So first, we will be focusing on supply side or sourcing your raw materials, your inputs for your final product. So there are six main sourcing strategies that you can utilize in order to to get the raw materials that you will need. So you can use any of these strategies in your project as well. So the first one is many suppliers. So what this means is that you will choose from many suppliers for one of your raw materials. So this is very much cost based. So what happens when you have a lot of suppliers competing for your demand is that the tendency is they will lower their price, therefore lowering your overall costs. The downside of this type of strategy is that there's not a lot of long-term partnership with your suppliers, and that it's more of you really just buying from them because they're cheaper. So not a lot of long-term partnership there. Next one is few suppliers. So having few suppliers allows each and every supplier to take advantage of economies of scale because they generally have more demand from you across time. And also another advantage is that the learning curve of servicing you, of working with you, becomes a lot lower, and as well as the transaction costs associated with that learning curve are also decreased. So yeah, so it's more about having a long-term relationship, really getting to know each other, knowing how and why business, like how your business uh, operates. So this is very important when you're building long-term relationships with your suppliers. Okay. The third type of sourcing strategy is vertical integration. So vertical integration means it's pretty much developing the ability to produce goods or services previously purchased or to actually buy a supplier or a distributor. So basically, from what we know, so it's supplier, parang ano yan eh. So manufacturer supplies that to the wholesaler sells that to a retailer, then a retailer sells that to the final customer. So vertical integration means you are integrating or you're buying the company, the supplier. So for example, a company that sells graphic t-shirts. So what kung ano sabihin natin, yung ginagawa nila ngayon is they buy t-shirts from a generic brand, they print on it, and then they sell that. What a vertically integrated sourcing strategy looks like is that they also, instead of buying that t-shirt from a supplier, what they do is like that they manufacture that t-shirt in-house, so that the advantage of this is you will get more control of the quality, and also it will be cheaper on a per unit basis because you're manufacturing it. But the downside is, of course, you will be splitting your expertise. So you might not be an expert in t-shirt manufacturing. So this might require a lot more capital investment, a lot, a steeper learning curve. So you'll have to get through that first in order to kind of reap the benefits of economies of scale, of having cheaper costs. Yeah. Next is joint ventures. So joint ventures are actually similar to vertical integrations, except you don't outright buy it. You don't outright do it yourself. You go into a formal partnership with another company, so that you can collaborate for better pricing, profit sharing, etc. So joint ventures, there are actually, I'm not sure if there are examples here in the Philippines that I know of joint ventures. I think Grab and Ninja Van might be an example of a joint venture. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that's an example. So Grab and Ninja Van. So if you guys look at your Grab app, you can actually see that you can deliver your package nationwide through Ninja Van. So that's an example of a joint venture between these two companies. Okay. So continuing the 6 sourcing strategies, we have number 6, no, sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Keiretsu network. So a Keiretsu network is, let me just read it out. So part collaboration, part purchasing from few suppliers, and part vertical integration. It's really a mixture of all of 3 of the previous sourcing strategies. So members are assured long-term relationships and are expected to collaborate as partners, providing technical expertise and stable quality production to the manufacturer. So basically what this means is that suppliers, businesses that are related to each other, to suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, logistics companies, third-party logistics providers, they join into a partnership, this network in which the advantage there is they will be sharing technical expertise and they will ensure the quality and prioritize each other in terms of their service. So that's a Keiretsu network. This is very, obviously, this is popular in Japan, as this is where it originated. Yeah. Next is virtual companies. This is actually very, very interesting. So I kind of want to discuss this a little bit more. So virtual companies rely on a variety of good, stable supplier relationships to provide services on demand. So in a virtual company, the supply chain is the company. Managing it is dynamic and demanding. So this is actually very interesting because, for example, you're starting a new business. You want to sell juices, for example. So this requires a lot of different activities. You need great packaging, you need production, you need delivery, you need marketing, you need, what else? A lot of other services in order to to bring this company to life. So what the supply chain for this would look like in a virtual company setup is that you will actually be outsourcing each and every part of the production process. So you're kind of like a middleman. You're managing all these different suppliers. So you have an agency for your marketing, an agency for your packaging, an agency, a partner that produces the juices. You have also another partner that will distribute it for you. So you're really just managing the supply chain. So what your business's core competency is really managing this, ensuring that quality is not compromised, ensuring that the communication between these different organizations is seamless. So yeah, that is a virtual company type of sourcing strategy. All right. So we have supply chain risks and tactics. So I don't want to go too deep into this. So there are a lot of different risks that you face when you're sourcing. So first one is supplier failure to deliver. So for example, you have a huge delivery. It's Christmas. It's 11/11. It's 12/12. And then suddenly your supplier just can't deliver. Nasunog yung warehouse na, for example. So what you can do to kind of reduce the risk of this happening is having multiple suppliers. Also enforcing contracts that will penalize your suppliers if ever they are unable to deliver. Next is supply quality failure. So for example, um, your raw materials they're all damaged for some reason. So what you can do to kind of reduce this risk is, of course, selecting your suppliers carefully, ensuring that they have enough capacity, they have a good quality management system in place, etc., etc. So really, it's all about prevention rather than a cure. Because once it already happens, there's not a lot of things that you can do. Next is outsourcing. So the risk of outsourcing is uh, so some example of the risk of outsourcing is number one, you can actually create your own competitor from the outsourced material. So for example, there's nothing stopping for your manufacturer from actually creating a company that sells whatever product you're asking them to manufacture for you. Yeah. So take over production, provide or perform the service yourself. So instead of outsourcing it to another company, you can always do it yourself. You will reduce this risk of your manufacturer, your your outsourced agency kind of become your competitor. Next is logistical delays or damages. So this is very true, and it happens a lot in the Philippines. So we have storms, lockdowns now, especially in the pandemic. So what you can do when this happens is having multiple or redundant transportation modes and warehouses. So for example, um, there's a problem when it comes to shipping to the ports. So what you can do is you're also shipping some of your supplies via air. So by doing this, you're reducing your risk. Kasi okay, if bawal yung air or bawal yung ocean, bawal yung through water, and di meron naman akong through air. So kind of reduces your risk in that sense. Okay, next is distribution. So the the risk here is that with distribution, there might be, for example, e-commerce, misrouted packages, damaged packages, even pilferages. So what you need to do here is really all about selecting your logistics provider very carefully, knowing their expertise, ensuring that they have proper processes in place. So yeah, so these are the risks that you will be facing when you're selecting your suppliers and some risk reduction tactics that you can implement. All right, so there's a lot more, but I don't want to go too much into them. I'll let you just it's fairly self-explanatory. Okay, so opportunities in managing the integrated supply chain. So these are some of the innovations, I guess, that have been brought about in supply chain management across the years. So first is vendor managed inventory. So use of local supplier, usually a distributor, to maintain inventory for the manufacturer or the retailer. So basically what this means is if I was a retailer, for example, I own a shop X, and I have it up in SM. So what I do is my inventory system, my supplier has access to my inventory system para every time na low na ako inventory, automatically they will already deliver whatever inventory is low. So parang ganun. So it's a lot faster. There's not parang yung communication, hindi mo na kailangan sabihin sa kanila, you don't have to keep relaying, okay, this inventory and that inventory, I need to order this, need to order that. Since the vendor already has visibility on your inventory level, so they can act accordingly. So yeah. Next is standardization. So the purchasing agents should try to have those components standardized. So whenever in manufacturing, especially, standardization allows things to become a lot more simple. So when there's variability kasi, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So there's just a lot more things. So with a lot more things, the probability that things can be defective uh, also becomes higher. Another part is when you have your people trying to master how to make different things, it takes a lot longer for them to become experienced and to become experts and producing that specific item. But if you implement standardization in which you only create a few items um, in a specified way, you kind of take out these problems. So Your processes become simpler, they become faster. Your quality goes up because employees are able to master it a lot better, master production a lot better. Yeah. Next is postponement. Postponement. So with it, it's the withholding of any modification or customization to the product. Basically, you're just keeping it as generic as long as possible. So a really, really good example of this is print on demand. So I'm not sure if you guys heard of this. So what this means is that what print on demand is for example, I'm a designer. I have a cool t-shirt design that I want made. So what I do is I'll put it up on a print on demand website. And then when somebody orders my t-shirt design, that is only when the company or the print on demand website will actually print my image or my design on that specific t-shirt. So as you can see, it's the customization or the modification part only happens right before my item is delivered to the customer. So that's basically what postponement is. All right. So next is drop shipping. So this is actually a very, very popular side hustle right now. Drop shipping. So basically, what happens is, for example, ano ba? What is this water jug right here? So I'm selling it to you. What a hydro flask, I'm selling it to you. So every time you order from my website, my supplier is actually notified that you have bought something from me and that they themselves will deliver it right to you. So this allows me to hold no inventory, no costs with regards to holding that inventory. Also allows me to sell a lot of different products because since I'm not holding inventory, my cash is not tied to that inventory. So drop shipping. So yeah, so these are some opportunities, some innovations that have come about from supply chain management. All right. So what are some of the common supply chain systems, especially in e-commerce? So you have your order management system, your logistics management system, your inventory monitoring system. So a good supply chain is a good supply chain is a managed supply chain, and the only way you can effectively manage a supply chain is if you have visibility on these different aspects. So order management, logistics management, inventory monitoring. So you have all these different systems that are fairly common in e-commerce. Next is supply. So let's get into finding the right supplier. So how do you ensure that the suppliers that you will be getting are in fact the best suppliers for you? So one method that you could actually use is called the factor rating method. So I think I've discussed this in the past. But let me just run through the steps again. So it'll serve as a reviewer na rin. So step one is, first you have to list down decision variables that will help you in deciding which supplier to choose. So you have to identify, okay, when I'm choosing my suppliers, what are most important to me? Is it the cost? Is it the quality? Is it the speed of delivery? Is it their value-added services, etc.? So once you have all these different variables identified, the next step is determining how important each variable is relative to all the other variables. So you're pretty much gonna give a weight to these variables out of 100. So yeah. Step 3 is, after you have given each variable a weight, what you're gonna do now is, okay, from your supplier, you're gonna rate each supplier option that you have based on these different variables. So for example, one of your variables was cost. You would rate this supplier A from 1 to 5, 5 being the cheapest, 1 being the most expensive. So if they were super cheap, you put them at a 5. They were super expensive, you'd give them just 1 point for it, you'd rate them with a 1. And then you do this for all of your different supplier options. Step 5 is you have to get the sum product of the variable rating and its percentage weight for each idea. So basically, you're trying to get the weighted average rating for each supplier. And then after doing this, you should be able to identify which supplier is most ideal for you based on all your variables and based on all their weights. So next one is logistics. So we discussed about supply, so inbound logistics. We discussed about operations, which was discussed in the previous lesson of process design. Now, what we will be discussing now is logistics, or the distribution of your different products. So there are, so basically supplier. So your supplier will transport it to your warehouse, and then your warehouse, your factory. From there, it will be transported to your end customer. So really, first mile is your inbound logistics. Last mile is your outbound logistics. So to be more specific, outbound logistics actually refers to the traveling of your goods from one place to another. Well, basically, that's what logistics means. So inbound is going to you, outbound is going from you. Okay, so main modes of shipment. So for first mile, you really have your trucks, your railroads, not really very popular here in the Philippines, your air freight, airplanes, your waterways, your ships, pipelines. So this is mainly used for the transport of oil. Multimodal, so basically just a combination of these different modes of shipments. Next is your mid-mile. So mid-mile is more about warehousing. So warehousing is just storing your goods as they wait for another process, or as they wait to be delivered to the end customer. So what are the functions of a warehouse? So storage, consolidation point. Consolidation point basically is, this is para makatipid ka sa shipping. Kasi for example, uh, instead of delivering all my items using motorcycles, I can just consolidate them in one area and then get a truck to kind of deliver everything for me. So that in a way becomes cheaper. Next is break bulk. So break bulk is basically the opposite of consolidation. So what happens is a full truckload arrives at your warehouse, and then you kind of separate and sort this to where it needs to go. Next is cross-docking facility. So cross-docking is basically you do it just so parang ano siya eh, it's a form of consolidation in a way. Pero cross-docking mainly, it's about parang lalapag lang yung item sa warehouse, and then from there, i-move na siya agad to the other, parang it gets moved to the next place. So there's not a lot of activity being done to it while at the warehouse. So the reason why you need to do this is because sometimes yung route is not really accessible. So kung sabihin natin, yung route mo is ano ko i-explain? So parang sobrang out of the way yung route mo. So what you have to do is you have to kind of leave it somewhere else first before going to your next destination, because in this way you will actually be able to reduce costs. Next is postponement. So providing final customer specific value added processing to the product before final shipment. So similar to what I've discussed earlier, print on demand. So parang dinedeliver yung t-shirt, kung nga rin sabihin natin dun sa factory, tapos dun lang siya gagawa ng modification or printing, and then dun na siya i-deliver. So you'll need a warehouse to do that. Next is distribution, or your last mile. So three main criteria. You want it to be fast. Okay, sorry. So the three main criteria for deciding what type of distribution channel you will need. You're mainly, to decide what type of distribution channel, you need to think of how fast can you respond to your customers' wants or needs, product choice, and then this level of service that you're actually able to give out to your customers. So there are actually mainly two main ways for distribution. The first one is brick and mortar stores. So ito yung mga stalls sa mall, stores sa basically sa mall. Next is delivery. So yung mga Lazada, Grab, these are delivery riders. So if you have physical stores, your response is a lot faster, obviously, since pupunta na nandun na yung customer service personnel ka dun. Service is also a lot better, since syempre may tao na dun, may mag-aasikaso. But product choice is very, very limited, because you are only restricted by the amount of space that you actually have in your physical store, and it might not be very cost effective to kind of have a huge space, especially if there's not a lot of foot traffic. So this is where delivery riders kind of come in, since with e-commerce, you can basically just show your entire product catalog on your website and then deliver na lang to the customer. So the problem with this is that you're not able to respond as quickly, and of course yung service is not parang what there's nothing really special about it, not unlike sa physical stores na pwede ka talagang alagaan, pwede ka pang offer ng juice. So delivery riders can't really do this for you. So yeah, basically that's a quick lesson on supply chain. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.